Hey guys, West Coast Taco here, and welcome to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today, guys, we're going to go over what I would consider to be the worst and best trim levels you can get for the third generation Toyota Tacoma. So if you recently ordered one or bought one, and you're unsure if the decision you made was the right one, or maybe you're on the fence still about just getting a Tacoma in general, you're not sure which trim level to get, guys, this video will hopefully help you guys in that decision-making process. All right, let's get into this. So as many of you already know, I got this TRD Off-Road 4x4 double cab long bed with the TRD Premium and Advanced Technology packages about a year ago. And looking back a year later, I can honestly say that I've had so much fun modifying and working on this truck. Now, the biggest reason I got this vehicle was because I started off looking at the TRD Pros. I wanted to get the most loaded with all the bells and whistles Tacoma I could find, and the TRD Pro met that description. However, I quickly realized that one of the things I absolutely wanted to have on my Tacoma, which was the lawn bed, didn't come on the TRD Pro. And as I began looking at all the other options I had in front of me, the TRD Off-Road 4x4 caught my attention because it came with a manual transmission, which was another thing I wanted, and it came with a lawn bed configuration within that trim level. Now, the next problem I ran into is I quickly learned that the double cab lawn bed configuration doesn't come with a manual transmission. You can't get a lawn bed with a manual. But in finding this out, I learned that there was a TRD Premium and Advanced Technology package, or packages you could get with a TRD Off-Road 4x4. Which meant I could get multi-terrain monitoring, I could get crawl control, I could get a rear locker, I could get the Softex vinyl seats, I could get the JBL premium sound system. I could essentially get the big components that I really liked about the TRD Pro, minus some badging, the fake hood scoop, you know, the grill. There's obviously some items I was going to be missing out on, kind of, but I could essentially still get a lot of those items and add them to my off-road. The vehicles are essentially the same. All the parts are really pretty, for the most part, compatible. So that kind of gave me an idea, and that's what got me on this journey. So now, guys, we're going to talk about what I would consider to be the worst trim level of all the trims that you can potentially get for the Tacoma. But what I would really like to hear, guys, is your input and your feedback at the end of this video, and let me know what you agree with and disagree with in what I'm talking about, and we can kind of build a nice little, page to help people make a better and informed decision when buying their first Tacoma. So let me know what you bought, what you don't like, what you do like, and what you maybe would have done differently, if anything at all. All right, guys, so the worst trim level, in my opinion, is the SR5 package. Now, before you guys start blowing up the comment section on me, I want to explain myself, so pump the brakes here for just 1 second. The SR5 package is a great trim level. The reason I chose it as the worst one to get is because I'm basing it off of today's current market conditions for the Tacoma. This is about the facts that I found on the Toyota website and what they're recommending for the MSRP. So let's dive into the overall cost of these trims and kind of see what you're getting and how much you're paying for what you're getting. An SR5, for a bare bones SR5, is $31,000. That's a two-wheel drive, no bells, no whistles, pretty much just straightforward pickup truck. And that can range all the way up to $44,000 for a four-wheel drive with some of the more deluxe items you can get on the SR5 package. The Trail Edition, which is also an SR5 but does have the rear locker, is going for a recommended price of $42,000. Now, when you compare that to the TRD Off-Road, which is being advertised at $37,000 and ranging up to $48,500 for the more premium and advanced packages, you might as well, in my opinion, get a TRD Off-Road and get the multi-terrain monitoring system, the crawl control, and the rear locker, and you're already still probably going to be right around what you'd be getting for a four-wheel drive SR5. For the TRD Pro, MSRP was $48,000, but based off of the TRD Pros I could find in my local San Diego, California area, most of them ranged from $54,000 all the way up to $60,000, which is just mind-blowing to me. And that's where we're going to kind of start putting a line in the sand. And so, guys, the very first flaw that I found with the SR5, guys, it wasn't the truck itself. It's the overall pricing that they're recommending for dealerships. And then these dealerships are adding markups. And the problem with that is that you really can't escape markups these days. I mean, you might be able to find a dealership where you live that's not doing markups, but I mean, I saw a TRD Off-Road 4x4 at the Carlsbad dealership, and they're asking $52,000 for that vehicle. That, to me, is just insane. And paying close to $40,000 for a four-wheel drive SR5, to me, just sounds kind of ridiculous for what you're getting, especially if you can snag up a TRD off-road for right around that same price that already has the four-wheel drive, the multi-train monitor system, the crawl control, and the rear locker. Because when you really compare the powertrains, pretty much from the SR5 all the way up to the TRD Pro, the powertrain, the engine is the same. It's that 3.5 liter V6. There's no differentiation within the engine, within the powertrain. There is that four-cylinder option with the SR, and there is a two-wheel drive option that you can get with the SR5, but you can also get a two-wheel drive option with the TRD off-road and get that rear locker. So really, when you guys look at the motor, the engine, what you're getting with the SR5 compared to the TRD off-road or the Pro or even the TRD Sport, you're really getting the same engine across the board. And the biggest difference really comes down to the off-road capabilities with that rear locker, the multi-train monitoring system, and the crawl control. Also, when you look at the SR5, comparing it to all the other trim levels, how good of a suspension are you getting compared to what comes on the other packages? All of this needs to be taken into consideration. Now, one of the biggest things that drives me crazy about the other packages, especially the TRD off-road, is how much chrome comes on those vehicles right from the get-go. I mean, I understand that on the SR and SR5 and on the Limited that there's going to be chrome. I understand. But, I said within the last 10 to 15 years, there's been such a huge push in the automotive industry to move away from chrome. Yet when you look at a vehicle that literally has the word off-road in it, why are they putting chrome like in every portion of the vehicle that they possibly can? I mean, there's chrome bumpers, there's chrome in your taillights, there's chrome badging on the side, they've got the chrome emblem in the front grille. There's just chrome everywhere on these vehicles. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I have not seen one video on YouTube titled, "How to Chrome Out Your Tacoma." It's just not a common or desirable thing that people are wanting to do to their trucks. And that's just not with Tacomas, that's with any type of vehicle for the most part, especially trucks. So I feel like Toyota kind of sold themselves a little short there, and on top of all that too, you have those brushed aluminum wheels that come stock on the off-road packages and on the SR5 and on the Sport. On every package that you get except for the TRD Pro, you always have a brushed aluminum wheel of some sort. And if you guys go on eBay or OfferUp or on Craigslist and you type in Toyota Tacoma wheels, you will see dozens and dozens and dozens of sets of these Toyota Tacoma wheels because they're just not that desirable. They're not what people are wanting to run on their vehicles. And of course, you're going to have a handful of people that like them and have kept them and are running them. But look at the vast majority of people out there. The first things they do to their Tacoma when they buy them is they replace their wheels, they replace their suspension, they, either, de-chrome / black out all the chrome on their vehicle. And then essentially from there, they kind of modify and tweak things that they want to make the vehicle more, dynamic and more specific to their actual use. But when you look at the SR5, I don't really feel like you're getting a whole lot if you're looking to really capitalize on the actual capabilities of the vehicle right out of the factory. Because, yes, you can always install a rear locker, but when you looked at the pricing, to not get a rear locker with a four-wheel drive, you're already past the base MSRP pricing for the TRD off-road. So, I always say to each their own. I'm not here saying that the SR5 is not a good trim level. I'm just saying that based off of what you can get, doesn't make sense to spend that much money on an SR5. And I think a lot of it is going to come down to what inventory do you have access to? What does the dealership have in the lot? What can you get your hands on? Because I understand in a perfect world, if we could all get the exact package we wanted in the color we wanted, it would be very easy. But I understand that some people just don't always have the options at their disposal, and you kind of have to settle a little bit for what you can get and what your budget can tolerate. And I totally understand, and I think a lot of people would tend to argue with, hey, the SR5 is more than capable to do what I need it to do on a daily basis. And guys, the best vehicle for your lifestyle is the one that meets the requirements that you're going to need it for. So I don't think you should just buy a vehicle just to buy a package because that package has more or less on it. You need to buy the truck that's going to fit your needs the best. But if you're looking to get a vehicle that you're going to be taking off-road and a vehicle that you're going to be maybe in some pretty harsh conditions on, you might want that four-wheel drive, or you might want a rear locker. And all of those things, guys, you really can't get both unless you go with the Trail Edition, and then you're really surpassing the TRD off-road pricing for that base MSRP. So at the end of the day, the whole point of this is kind of saying, all right, for what you're paying, what are you really getting with the SR5 package? Because if you're replacing your tires and you're replacing your wheels and you're dechroming everything and you're blacking everything out and you're redoing your suspension, which brings me to this next point of just how much money are you really spending on your vehicle to get it ready when you could buy something that has a lot of these other items that already come with the vehicle straight off the factory. So let's talk suspension. Suspension is a very expensive thing that people tend to do with their Tacomas right away. In fact, I feel like unless you buy the TRD Pro, I would say the vast majority of people that buy these trucks end up replacing their suspension very, very quickly, or at least alternating the aspects of it to make the truck either higher or more level, or just change the overall stance of the truck. So let's just say, for example, the TRD Off-Road, that's one of the other flaws I have with the TRD Off-Road, is that, they have a Bilstein suspension, which is cool, but how much money are you spending as soon as you buy the truck to have that taken off and to have a better suspension system put on? So not only are you losing money because you're taking a part that was stock from the factory and getting rid of it, but now you could be spending, even up to tens of thousands of dollars depending on what suspension system you go with, because you can go with a much budget-friendlier kit like a Bilstein 5100 setup, or you can go, sky's the limit with a really expensive and really fancy Fox or Keen suspension setup. So really, when it comes to the suspension options, sky's the limit. But how much money are you now going to be putting in to your vehicle after you just bought it brand new? So when you buy a TRD Off-Road, in my opinion, that suspension system will get you to almost anything and through anything that you might need to go through on a daily basis, whether you live out in the country, you live in the city, you're taking the kids to school, you're picking up somebody from work, you're just running some errands around town, you're taking your kids to, baseball, football, soccer, basketball practice, whatever it is, the SR5 can arguably tackle all those things without any issues. But when you look at the suspension, when you look at all these other items, what are you planning to do? Because all of these things are going to become a very big factor into how much money you're actually now spending on your Tacoma as a whole. So, for example, if you're looking to put a super nice Fox suspension system on your SR5 or on your TRD Off-Road or on your Sport or whatever it is, how much would you maybe save by buying a TRD Off-Road with a really good Bilstein suspension already built in, or even going for the TRD Pro if it's within your budget, to just have a factory warranted vehicle from bumper to bumper that's very capable right out of the factory? So these are all really big and important things that I think we need to kind of take into consideration when doing this. And speaking of suspension, I would be curious to know your guys' thoughts. I feel like, for whatever reason, I don't understand it. Why does Bilstein provide Toyota with a yellow and blue shock for the TRD Off-Road? I feel like it is just a hideous color variation to put on the Tacomas. It just kind of clashes with all of the fantastic paint colors that Toyota provides us with for the Tacoma. And when I look at all of the other Bilstein shocks, yes, I understand that the blue and the yellow is their company colors, and their stickers look cool and their emblems look cool because they put them on a shock that's all black. But I feel like, even just seeing pictures of the 4th gen, they're still using the blue dust covers for the boots on the shocks. And for whatever reason, I can't understand or figure out why. It is what it is. But I feel like that is just a big, big pet peeve of mine, and probably for many others. in regards to the overall looks and how it just kind of aesthetically kind of sours a little bit of it when you're seeing that blue and yellow portions sticking out from the rear or in the coils on the front of the Tacoma. And the last point I want to talk about when it comes to the SR5 package is the configurations you can get for the SR5 pickup. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, you can get a lawn bed configured SR5. However, what you can't get is a manual transmission, which you can get in the Sport, the Off-Road, and the Pro models. Now, what's interesting to me is that they didn't put one in the SR5, but what's even more interesting to me, and I'm sure a lot of you guys as well, is why can't you get a manual transmission in a lawn bed configured Tacoma? Because when I first started my hunt for a Tacoma, those were the two things on my list. I wanted a manual and I wanted the lawn bed. But as I stated earlier, I had to settle for a longer bed and go with an automatic transmission just because that configuration of Tacoma isn't even available on the market. So when you look at all the options you have to choose from, when you look at a Sport or an off-road compared to the SR5, you get, that one extra option of being able to go with a manual transmission if that's your preferred method for driving. Now, overall, when you look at all the pros and the cons of the SR5, yes, it's cheaper priced if you go with a two-wheel drive vehicle. If you really want to get something above the SR, but you can't afford a Sport or the off-road, then the SR5 might be a good package for you, just because if you can get something for around $31,000, that's not a bad deal for a very durable and reliable pickup truck. But what the purpose of this video is, guys, is not to, throw darts and, throw rounds at the SR5. That's not the intention at all. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to look at, okay, what are you getting based off of the price tag Toyota is marketing on their website with the SR5 compared to the Sport, the Off-Road, and the Pro trim packages. That's really all I'm doing here. And when you look at the limited options and the limited features on the SR5 and how much you might be paying for it at a dealership, depending on the markups that are currently going on and the pricing that's currently happening for the Tacoma, well, you might just get a better Tacoma or a more capable Tacoma, or a Tacoma that might hold its value a little bit more by going with a package similar to the Sport or the Off-Road, or a configuration within those trim levels. So at the end of the day, guys, my big four pet peeves, my big 4 points that I wanted to kind of hit on with the SR5 as to why I think it could be one of the worst trims to buy right now is the cost, the chrome, the wheels, the tires, the badging, all that stuff you might want to change to an SR5 to give it a more beefier and hardier look to kind of resemble a Sport, an Off-Road, or a Pro. The suspension, just some of the things that you can, not get with the SR5 that you might be able to get with a Sport, Off-Road, or Pro. And then at the end, it not coming in a manual transmission. Like I said, it does come in a lawn bed configuration, which is great because the Pro does not come in a lawn bed. So you do have a little bit of a plus there with the SR5 of having that option. But at the end of the day, guys, from what I could tell with the deluxe packages for the SR5, it really just included like a tonneau cover, a 50 state emissions, a couple other small things that I feel like really aren't big factors when buying a truck, because you can buy all of those from a third-party provider and get something that's maybe better made, better of quality, more ideal for the setup you're looking to run. And you're going to have more options than spending a premium amount of money or paying for a premium package, so-called, and not really probably getting the best bang for your buck. So now you might be asking yourself, okay, then which trim gives me the best value for my money? And guys, I've kind of talked about a lot of the pros and cons of all the different trim levels throughout this video. And guys, in my opinion, based off of value, based off of pricing, based off of what you get for the amount of money you're spending on the Tacoma, the best line in the trim level is the TRD Off-Road trim. Now, let me know what you think and if you agree or disagree, but the reason why I'm going with that is because of the pricing. It's going to be the first one we're going to kind of tackle. $37,000 all the way to $49,000. Guys, if you can get a TRD Off-Road 4x4 with a lawn bed or a short bed, and you can get that for somewhere between $37,000 and $42,000, well, you're already pretty much paying the same amount that you'd be paying for an SR5 that's in 4-wheel drive. And you're going to get all those other features I already spoke about, from the multi-terrain monitoring system, the crawl control, and the rear locker. All those are going to come with this vehicle that didn't come with the SR5. And then you look at the powertrain. It's the same as we discussed. It's a 3.5 liter V6 for the SR5, the TRD Sport, TRD Off-Road, and TRD Pro. So the engine's the same. You're getting the same thing. You're not missing out on a specific engine. You're not getting like a 4.0 liter, Tacoma engine in the Pro, and that's why people want to get the Pro. Like, the engine is the same. It's tuned the same. And pretty much the capabilities and what you want to do to it are endless. Also, configurations. You have the long bed, you have the short bed, you have the manual transmission, you have the automatic transmission, you have the premium packages, you have the advanced technology packages. You have all of these things that you can get with the off-road that you can't get with the SR5. And you can also still get it in a 2-wheel drive or a 4-wheel drive option if you really want to get a 2-wheel drive off-road with just the locker. And guys, out of the box capabilities, guys, I feel like it's kind of untouchable because it does pretty much everything the Pro does, minus the TRD Fox suspension. But when you look at the actual capabilities of the truck mechanically and technology-wise, it's identical. There's nothing that the Pro has mechanically, except for the suspension, that's really different from the TRD Off-Road. And once again, guys, the last thing, like I kind of touched on in the beginning, is just the overall cost. It's a sweet spot. You're not paying in the upwards of, low 50s to high 50s, even low 60s, but you're also not paying a premium for an SR5 that I feel like is still missing a lot of important items that you should be getting with your Tacoma when spending that amount of money. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this provided some insight for you. And like I said, I didn't go, in great detail about all the pros of the TRD Off-Road, but I kind of wanted to make this video just kind of trail on nice and comfortably and allow you guys to kind of, chew on all these aspects while going through. I just don't want to, just chew out and dump on the SR5 because, like I said, once again, that was not the intent. But the overall intent and nature of this video was to really just help you guys understand where you're going to find the best value, the best bang for your buck, and maybe at the end of the day, help you guys in making a very, very big and important decision if you're looking to pick up a 3rd generation Tacoma before they are no longer in production. All right, guys. Well, once again, I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to hear your comments. Please put them in the comments section below. If you guys haven't liked or subscribed or hit the notification button, feel free to do so. I've been really enjoying making these videos, guys, and I have a ton of more stuff I'm getting ready to push out. A bunch of more mods, a bunch of more accessories, a bunch of more things I've been doing with my truck, and looking forward to just getting these things out to you guys and hoping that you guys stay tuned for more. All right, guys, I'll be talking to you soon. Until the next one, see ya.